Stop scrolling. Because what just leaked was never supposed to be heard. This isn't a screenshot. This isn't a tweet. And this definitely isn't a PR statement. This is Teyana Taylor's own voice. Yes, the leaked recording. And if this recording is real, then everything you thought you knew about why she left Pierre was a lie. In this audio, Teyana allegedly says what she never dared to say in public. The kind of truth that only comes out when trust is already shattered and emotions are past the breaking point. Fans believed this was a clean breakup. No cheating, no betrayal, just two people going their separate ways. But after this leak, that story completely collapses. Because the voice in that recording doesn't sound angry. It doesn't even sound sad. It sounds like final clarity. And here's where it gets dangerous. There's another name mentioned in that recording. A name from her past. A name that, according to insiders, never really left her life. And if that part is true, then the question isn't just why Teyana left Aaron. The real question becomes, was Aaron ever really the one to begin with? And wait, because what surfaced after this recording leaked is even more shocking. Before the leaked recording shook the internet, before fans started replaying every word frame by frame, before timelines were torn apart and theories exploded across social media, Teyana Taylor and Pierre were sold to the world as a flawless story. Effortless, elegant, untouchable. From the outside, their relationship looked like maturity personified. No messy scandals. No public fights. No subtweets. Just carefully curated moments, quiet chemistry, and an aura that screamed, "This is real." Fans called it growth. Media outlets called it destiny. Insiders whispered that Teyana had finally found peace after years of emotional chaos. But here's the thing no one wants to admit now. This story was never as stable as it looked. Teyana Taylor has always been more than just a celebrity. She's a symbol. Strength. Artistry. Control. A woman who turned pain into power and heartbreak into reinvention. After her highly publicized past relationships, fans believed she had learned the game, mastered her boundaries, and chosen someone who matched her emotionally and intellectually. Enter Pierre. Quiet. Reserved. Magnetic in a dangerous way. Not the flashy type. Not loud. Not thirsty for attention. To the public, Aaron felt like the opposite of everything that once hurt her. He wasn't constantly online. He didn't overshare. He didn't sell their relationship for clout. And that alone made people trust him. But insiders now claim that this exact distance, the mystery, the emotional restraint, the silence, may have been the first crack in the foundation. According to sources close to Teyana's inner circle, the relationship started fast but deep. Private conversations, long nights, shared trauma, emotional vulnerability that felt intense and intoxicating. Teyana reportedly believed she had found someone who understood her beyond fame. But understanding and emotional presence are not the same thing. Behind closed doors, subtle issues allegedly began to surface. Missed calls that weren't explained. Conversations that felt one-sided. Moments where Teyana needed reassurance and got silence instead. Nothing dramatic enough to expose publicly. Nothing explosive. Just enough distance to create doubt. And doubt is dangerous when you've already been hurt before. Fans didn't see this part. The media didn't report this part. But insiders say this is where emotional disconnection quietly took root. At the same time, another presence never truly disappeared. Her ex. The one fans assumed was history. The one she never spoke about anymore. The one everyone thought was irrelevant. According to multiple sources, that connection was never fully severed. It wasn't romantic at first, at least not openly. It was familiar, safe, supportive. Someone who picked up the phone every time. Someone who knew her triggers, her fears, her patterns. And while Pierre was allegedly becoming more distant, this other figure was becoming more present. That contrast mattered. Industry insiders say Teyana was stuck in a quiet emotional tug-of-war. One relationship looked perfect on paper, but felt emotionally cold. The other felt messy, complicated, but emotionally available. And that's where the story starts to turn. Publicly, everything looked fine. Appearances were still smooth. Statements were respectful. There were no obvious signs of tension. But behind the scenes, the emotional imbalance was reportedly growing heavier by the day. Then came the breakup. When the split was announced, fans were shocked, but not alarmed. The messaging was calm. Mutual respect. No blame. No drama. People praised how grown it all seemed. But insiders now say that calm was intentional. A controlled narrative. A clean exit. A silence designed to protect everyone involved. Until it didn't. Because according to leaks, the emotional truth was never addressed publicly. The missing trust. The lack of connection. The presence of someone from her past filling a void that never should have existed. And now, that truth may have slipped out in the worst possible way. The leaked recording didn't just reopen the breakup. It rewrote the entire backstory. Suddenly, fans aren't asking when things went wrong. They're asking if they were ever right at all. And as more people dig into old interviews, subtle quotes, and past behavior, a chilling realization is setting in. This breakup wasn't sudden. It wasn't random. It was building quietly the entire time. And the leaked audio? That may have been the moment where Teyana finally said what she had been holding back all along. But here's the real problem. If this recording confirms that trust and emotional connection were missing, and that her ex never truly left the picture, then what we're about to uncover next changes everything. Because the next phase of this story doesn't focus on distance. It focuses on betrayal. And what allegedly happened right before the breakup may be far darker than anyone expected. This is where everything completely falls apart. Because according to multiple insider leaks, the breakup between Teyana Taylor and Pierre didn't start with a peaceful conversation or a mutual understanding. It allegedly started with one discovery. A moment so quiet, so personal, and so shocking that it instantly destroyed whatever trust was left. And no one saw it coming. Sources close to Teyana claim the turning point happened during a private moment, away from cameras, away from red carpets, away from the image everyone believed. It wasn't an argument. It wasn't cheating caught in real time. It was something far more dangerous. It was emotional proof. According to insiders, Teyana came across messages, not explicit, not romantic on the surface, but emotionally loaded in a way that hit harder than any scandal. Messages that showed Aaron opening up to someone else in ways he allegedly no longer did with her. Conversations filled with vulnerability, reassurance, late-night honesty. And the worst part? It wasn't her. Sources say when Teyana confronted Aaron, his reaction wasn't explosive. It wasn't defensive. It was quiet, and that silence spoke louder than any argument ever could. That's when the first crack became a fracture. According to leaked accounts, Teyana allegedly asked one question that changed everything. "Why don't you talk to me like this anymore?" Insiders claim Aaron didn't have an answer. That moment reportedly triggered a spiral of realizations. Teyana allegedly began replaying months of subtle distance in her head. The unanswered calls. The emotionally flat conversations. The way he showed up physically, but not emotionally. Suddenly, everything clicked. And that's when the first twist surfaced. According to multiple sources, Aaron wasn't emotionally cheating with another woman. He was emotionally checked out entirely. And while Teyana was trying to hold the relationship together, someone else had quietly stepped back into her life. Her ex. Insiders allege that during this fragile period, Teyana reconnected with her ex not for romance, at least not at first, but for grounding, support, familiarity. Someone who didn't make her feel like she was asking for too much just to be heard. And this is where the situation becomes explosive. Because sources claim Aaron found out. According to leaked reports, Aaron became aware that Teyana had been confiding in her ex, sharing emotional struggles, frustrations, and fears about the relationship. While nothing physical allegedly happened, the emotional overlap crossed an invisible line. This wasn't cheating. This was something more dangerous. Emotional replacement. Insiders say Aaron felt blindsided, betrayed, and humiliated. Not because she had moved on, but because she had already emotionally detached while still with him. That realization allegedly triggered a confrontation so intense it permanently altered their dynamic. According to one source, Aaron allegedly said something chilling during that confrontation. "I was already losing you. I just didn't know to who." That sentence reportedly broke everything. From that moment on, the relationship entered its final stage, quiet, cold, and irreversible. Publicly, they still appeared composed. Privately, insiders claim the connection was already dead. But here's where the first major twist drops. According to a leaked insider timeline, the recording didn't come after the breakup. It came before it. Sources allege that the now viral leaked audio was recorded during a private conversation where Teyana finally verbalized what she had been feeling for months. That recording allegedly captures her admitting that trust was gone, not because of infidelity, but because emotional presence was missing. And then she allegedly says the words that changed everything. Words insiders say Aaron was never meant to hear. According to those familiar with the recording, Teyana admits that her ex had been her emotional anchor during the darkest moments of the relationship. That when she felt unseen, unheard, and disconnected, it was her past, not her present, that showed up. That admission, insiders say, was devastating. Because once emotional loyalty shifts, relationships rarely survive. But it gets worse. According to multiple sources, that recording was never meant to leak. It was shared privately, possibly as a form of closure, possibly as a moment of vulnerability. But somehow, it escaped the circle it was supposed to stay in. And when it did, the narrative exploded. Fans who heard snippets of the audio immediately took sides. Some claimed Teyana was honest and brave. Others accused her of emotional betrayal. Aaron's silence only fueled speculation, making every second without a response feel louder than a statement. And then came the final blow of this section. Insiders now claim that Aaron heard the recording the same time the public did. If that's true, then the breakup didn't just end a relationship. It publicly exposed one. Because imagine hearing your partner admit, in her own voice, that someone else gave her what you didn't, and finding out along with millions of strangers online. That moment, according to sources, permanently closed the door. But here's the most unsettling part. Some insiders believe the leak wasn't accidental. They believe it was intentional. A controlled release. A final truth. A way to shift the narrative without saying it directly. And if that's the case, then what happens next isn't about heartbreak anymore. It's about damage control, reputations, and what else hasn't been revealed yet. Because if one recording surfaced, what else exists? And who else is about to be exposed? What happened next didn't just escalate the situation, it detonated it. Because within hours of the leaked recording spreading, something far more dangerous surfaced. Not another audio clip, not a screenshot, but a pattern. And once fans started connecting the dots, there was no turning back. This wasn't just a breakup anymore. This was a timeline collapse. According to multiple so-called insiders, internet detectives began digging into old interviews, archived social posts, and subtle moments that once seemed meaningless. Suddenly, everything looked different. The smiles, the pauses, the silences, the no-comment answers. What once felt private now looked premeditated. And then the second reveal hit. A source claiming to be close to Teyana's inner circle alleged that the ex wasn't just emotional support. He had allegedly been reintegrated into her daily life weeks before the breakup went public. Not secretly, quietly, carefully, almost intentionally invisible. The shocking part? Aaron allegedly felt it before he ever saw proof. Insiders claim he had repeatedly asked if someone else was emotionally present in the picture. And according to those same sources, Teyana never denied it outright. She simply reframed it. Support, friendship, familiarity. But when the recording leaked, that framing shattered. Because buried within the audio, a part that didn't go viral at first, was a sentence that changed the narrative entirely. According to people who claim to have heard the full version, Teyana allegedly said, "I feel safe when I talk to him. I don't feel like I'm asking for permission to exist." That line hit like a nuclear strike. Fans immediately interpreted it as an indictment of her relationship with Aaron. Not abuse, Not cruelty, but something more complex and just as damaging: emotional absence. And here's where things spiral. Within 24 hours, hashtags exploded. Not just in support of Teyana, not just against Aaron, but in confusion. People didn't know who to believe, and that uncertainty made the situation even more volatile. Then came the alleged industry whispers. A source claiming to work in talent management leaked that Aaron had quietly pulled out of 2 upcoming joint appearances. No public explanation. No announcement. Just sudden cancellations. That silence spoke volumes. And then the third twist. Another alleged insider claimed the recording wasn't the only one. According to this source, there were multiple recordings, fragments of conversations, voice notes, emotional check-ins, none of which were intended to be public. The leaked clip was allegedly the softest one. Let that sink in. If that's true, then what we've heard so far isn't the worst of it. And the timing? Even more suspicious. Because just as the story began losing steam, something new reignited it. A cryptic post. Late one night, Teyana allegedly posted and then deleted a single sentence on her private account. Some truths don't come out until silence becomes unbearable. Screenshots spread like wildfire. Fans immediately linked it to the recording, to Aaron, to the ex, to everything. Was it a confession, a warning, or a message meant for someone specific? No one knew, but Aaron's response, or lack of one, became the loudest element of the scandal. According to people close to him, he was allegedly blindsided, not by the breakup, but by how public the emotional narrative became. He didn't deny the recording. He didn't confirm it. He did nothing. And that nothing fueled everything. Then the most shocking reveal dropped. A source claiming to have been present during a private discussion alleged that Aaron had asked one final question after hearing the recording. Was I ever enough for you? Or was I just filling time? That question reportedly ended all communication. And here's the chilling part. According to insiders, Teyana didn't answer. That silence, more than any leaked audio, confirmed what many already suspected. The relationship didn't end because of one person. It ended because 2 people were no longer emotionally aligned. But the internet doesn't deal in nuance. It deals in sides. And as the story spread, the tone shifted from curiosity to combat. Supporters clashed. Accusations flew. Some painted Teyana as emotionally honest. Others labeled her manipulative. Aaron was either the quiet victim or the emotionally unavailable partner who lost what he refused to protect. And then, just when it seemed like everything had already exploded, one final bombshell surfaced. An alleged DM from someone claiming to be the ex. It read, "Sometimes love doesn't end. It just waits." Real or fake, it didn't matter. The damage was done. Because now the narrative had fully transformed. This wasn't a breakup story. This was a return. A resurfacing of old emotions, unfinished connections, and truths that stayed buried until a recording forced them into the light. And the scariest part? No official statements had been made. No denials. No confirmations. No closure. Just silence and speculation. And when silence meets the internet, it only creates one thing: chaos. What happened next was pure pandemonium. The moment the leaked recording and insider claims reached mainstream timelines, the internet didn't just react. It picked sides. And once that happened, there was no room left for calm, logic, or nuance. This wasn't discussion anymore. This was war. On one side, fans rallied behind Teyana, calling her brave, honest, and finally free. Viral posts praised her for choosing emotional safety over public perfection. One trending tweet read, "Emotional neglect is still neglect. Just because it's quiet doesn't mean it doesn't hurt." Within minutes, it had tens of thousands of likes. On the other side, the backlash was ruthless. Critics accused her of rewriting history, leaking narratives, and emotionally abandoning a relationship before officially ending it. Another viral post claimed, "You don't heal by running back to the past and pretending the present failed you." That one spread just as fast. And right in the middle, Pierre. Or rather, his absence. Industry insiders claim his silence became the most dissected reaction of all. Every hour without a statement was treated like a confession by one side and emotional restraint by the other. Clips of his old interviews resurfaced, suddenly reinterpreted through a darker lens. Lines that once felt romantic now sounded distant. Calm responses were labeled cold. Privacy was labeled guilt. Then came the celebrity reactions, subtle, strategic, and deeply telling. Several public figures allegedly liked posts that leaned heavily in Teyana's favor. No captions. No explanations. Just digital breadcrumbs that fans immediately turned into headlines. Meanwhile, a few industry voices quietly unfollowed both parties, signaling what insiders called brand distancing. That move alone sparked another wave of speculation. According to sources familiar with entertainment PR, studios and brands allegedly began reassessing future collaborations, not because of morality, but volatility. No one wanted to be associated with a narrative that could flip overnight. And it did. A well-known gossip outlet published an anonymous quote from someone claiming to be close to the situation, stating that the recording was only one side of a much larger emotional breakdown. That line sent shockwaves through the industry. Because now the story wasn't just about who was right. It was about what hadn't been said yet. Fan theories exploded. Some claimed Aaron was protecting himself legally. Others insisted he was waiting for the right moment to drop his own truth. A growing group believed both were being advised to stay quiet because more damaging details existed behind the scenes. And then came the debates. Podcasts dedicated entire episodes to the situation. Comment sections turned into battlegrounds. One camp argued emotional abandonment was worse than cheating. Another insisted reconnecting with an ex during a relationship crossed an unforgivable line. There was no consensus, only chaos. Even more unsettling, insiders claim private industry group chats were buzzing with one question: who leaked it and why now? Because timing mattered. The leak didn't just happen randomly. It landed at a moment when public perception could be shaped, controlled, and monetized. Some accused Teyana's camp of narrative control. Others believed someone close to Aaron wanted sympathy to swing in his favor. No proof, just suspicion. And suspicion fuels controversy. By the end of the week, the story had mutated into something far bigger than a breakup. It became a cultural argument about emotional labor, loyalty, and whether silence is protection or avoidance. And just when it seemed the backlash had peaked, a final statement from an alleged industry insider reignited everything. This situation is far from over. What's public right now is the clean version. That sentence changed the tone instantly. Because if this was the clean version, what was being held back? What truth was still buried? And who would speak next? As fans waited, refreshing feeds and dissecting every move, one thing became painfully clear. This wasn't ending with closure. It was building towards something darker, something louder, something no one was ready for. Just when everyone believed the chaos had reached its limit, the entire story flipped upside down. Because late one night, when timelines slowed and attention drifted, a new claim emerged from someone who allegedly had direct access to the original leaked recording. And what they said changed everything. According to this source, the audio that went viral was not the full recording. It was edited. Not dramatically, not obviously, but strategically. The source claimed that the leaked clip circulating online was only a fragment, carefully selected, trimmed, and released without the context that came before it. And the missing context? That's where things get dangerous. Allegedly, before Teyana spoke about trust being gone and emotional connection missing, she said something else. Something that never made it online. Something that shifts the narrative completely. According to the insider, Teyana allegedly admitted that she had already made up her mind to leave before the emotional distance became unbearable. That she had been emotionally preparing herself for an exit long before Aaron realized anything was wrong. If true, that changes everything. Because suddenly, the story isn't about a woman reacting to emotional neglect. It becomes a story about someone quietly leaving while still being present. And here's where the cliffhanger hits hard. The same source claims that Aaron heard the full, unedited version, and what hurt him most wasn't the mention of the ex. It was the realization that the relationship had ended privately long before it ended publicly. According to those close to him, that knowledge shattered something irreversible. But it doesn't stop there. The source dropped one final bombshell before disappearing from social media completely. There's another recording, and that one isn't about love. That sentence sent shockwaves through every corner of the internet. What could be worse than emotional betrayal? Control, narrative manipulation, or a truth so damaging it could permanently alter how both of them are seen. Fans immediately began speculating. Was the next recording about who leaked the audio? About legal threats? About protecting images and careers? Or about a moment that crossed a line no one is ready to talk about yet? No one knows. Because as of now, that second recording hasn't surfaced. But insiders claim it exists. And even more chilling, multiple industry figures are allegedly working behind the scenes to keep it from ever being released. Why? Because according to one anonymous source, if that audio drops, this stops being a breakup story and becomes something much bigger. As the silence grows heavier and anticipation builds, one thing is clear. This story isn't over. The truth isn't complete. And the most damaging part hasn't been heard yet. The only question left is, who will speak first and who will be exposed when they do? Now it's your turn. After everything you've heard, the leak, the missing audio, the emotional fallout, what do you believe? Was Teyana protecting her peace, or was this a calculated exit hidden behind silence? And is there really another recording waiting to drop? Comment your thoughts below, no holding back. Hit like if this story shocked you. Subscribe and turn on notifications, because if that second recording surfaces, you'll hear it here first. Trust us, the next update could change everything.